Hello and welcome to the Safety Monitor Report tutorial. I'm glad you're listening, and I'm excited that you're here to learn about this tool to be able to view and analyze your Safety Monitor data. First, I want to look at how the information goes from submitting a form at the hospital to this report here. Now, when you submit a form, it goes into an application called Microsoft SharePoint, which is then synced to this Excel page when it's connected or refreshed. So this table here shows all the information that's coming from the Safety Monitor report. All these fields go into this table here and is synced when this is connected. So this, I've called this tab monitor data, but this is the table that's important. Has your data here. So there are different parameters that you can select to view the data based on the date. So we have here start month, day, and year. You can filter these manually. So let's say you wanted to look at January 1st, 2015 all the way up until January 28th, 2015. You would select that and hit click to filter table for date selected. So you click that, you'll see that the date filters are currently applied, and you'll see that it's filtered there. Now if you want to clear those, hit click to clear all filters. You'll notice it's cleared and you'll see all the records there. Now you can also select these shortcut keys for week, month, 3 months, or a year. So when you select these, let's say you chose the previous month based on today and the month previous, you would click on month and then you'd hit click to filter data for date selected. So then the date filters would then be applied. You'd see the previous month. If you wanted to clear them all, hit clear all filters. Now this data here is just something I've typed as a test data for this video, but when you get in a live environment, it will actually show your data from the Safety Monitor. So let's navigate to the summary sheet. So this is a snapshot of the data we just looked at. This has different things to view. You have investigative status, primary cause, level of harm, type of occurrence, plan of action, and follow-up. Now these all have two columns. You have within period and all. So the within period corresponds to these date parameters here. So you can select a date parameter in a similar way manually, or you can select the previous week, month, 3 months. So this, on the previous sheet, on the table, you had to filter every time you selected a date because it ran a macro to apply the filters. On these, it simply applies the formulas, so you can just select the date there, and it will apply to the within period on each of the columns. So here I want to look at this checkbox to include current date within date selection. So let's say today is January 28th, and if you go back to the report, you had an event that happened on the 20th at 10 a.m. So in the middle of the day. This is if you want to look at something that happened in the middle of the day, and if you want to just include everything that happened yesterday and previously, then you would uncheck this. If you want to go ahead and just include today, you leave it checked, and you notice as I do that, the within period total toggles back and forth. So feel free to just leave that checked all the time, but it's there if you'd like to use it. So let's look at these buttons. These go to different charts. But before we do that, we'll look briefly at the macros that run behind. So this uses Visual Basic for application Excel macros. These are password protected, and basically it's just a bunch of code that runs behind the scenes for these reports to work. So if you selected the week as a shortcut, it would call this macro and it would run that code. If you selected if you ran the status by location chart, it would run that code. And there's just a lot of different other code that runs behind. You don't need to know about the code to run the reports. It's just helpful to know that it does run behind, and that's why when you select a button, that's why it's able to run. So that works like that. So you go to investigative status chart. So here we have the chart, and this is formatted to print. So if you want file print, print active sheet, it's there formatted to print. Feel free to adjust the chart size as you need, but this is formatted to print. Also note that if you select the chart and then try to print, it will just select the chart. So if you want to include everything else, click anywhere else on the screen and then do that. So you have the date parameters for this chart. You can select the dates. Every time you do that, make sure to refresh the chart So you can select there, same checkbox as before. So this chart is a pivot chart. You can manipulate the way it looks. So let's say you just wanted to look at open and completed. You'd have those checked. You check off sent for review, and you can just compare these two. If you wanted to look at sent for review again, just check this box right here, and then refresh the chart. The macro will reapply the formatting to make it look like this. I will ask that you leave the location checked, because this applies the report filter, which allows you to slice by location. So when you slice by location, you can slice and look at that. So this box came up. This is just, there's no problem, but this is negative or zero values cannot be plotted on log charts. This chart, just because it has a lot of records, is formatted in a logarithmic scale. You can just hit OK. It says if there's zero or low, it won't be plotted because it's a long. There's a large number, so you can select these locations and look at different ones. You can also hit Control on your keyboard and then select multiple locations. Let go of Control and it will apply for those specific locations. You can also select every location or simply just clear the filter. So that's how that works. It's a great way to really slice and dice your data. So let's look at here. Let's see if you had January 25th. Let's say you want to select all records. So you don't want to filter by parameters. You want to select all the records. You click here to select date range that includes all records, and that's the equivalent of looking at all of them, because it will select the date parameters that has all the dates, and then just simply refresh the chart. So let's go back to the summary page. So these charts work in a very similar way to the status chart, but let's look at this occurrence chart quickly. And this one you have two charts. One is a category chart for the occurrences, and one is a more detailed chart, because there are a lot of occurrences within the safety monitor. So this works in a very similar way. You have the date, location, and you can also filter. So let's say you just wanted to look at compare behavior and clinical. You would leave those two checked. You could compare those, and then if you wanted to view the rest again, you could check those and then simply refresh the chart to reapply the filters. Make sure to leave the location selected to let the slicer work, but that's pretty much how that works. If you want to look to this detailed chart, this shows all the different types of occurrences. You can adjust the sizes of these. Again, this is formatted to print for the category chart, so if you can print that, but feel free to adjust the size as the number of records fluctuates. So here again, if you want to look at all the records, you click here to select date range that includes all the records. It will automatically select the date and refresh the chart. So one thing, if you're looking at the chart, make sure it's refreshed, because in Excel, pivot charts need to be refreshed with the data every time that it's updated. So you go to the summary chart. Here, one thing I want to show you with this is that if you change, let's say you're looking at primary cause and you wanted to change one of the primary causes here, you could on this chart if you needed to. So this has communication here. Let's say you wanted this to be patient education. You could select that and see how this matches to the patient education here. It's because this formula applies based on the value that's in this cell here. So you can leave it as what is already set, but if you need to change it, if you need to look at something else, that's how you do that. That works for primary cause, level of harm, type of occurrence, and plan of action. That doesn't work for investigative status, because the formula is set to check whether something is open, completed, or in review. So as far as the Excel macros go, there are just two things that you can do to make sure they run smoothly, or two things to not do, basically. If you see here, there are a lot of hidden sheets called reference. They basically just make tables. Every time the macro runs, it makes a table that allows the pivot chart to run. So as long as you just don't delete or change the name of these sheets that end in reference, you'll be good. So you can change the name of the other sheets, but just not the ones that end in reference. So if I refresh this chart, you'll notice that disappears. The macro automatically unhides and hides that. One more thing, if you go to the formulas, name ranges, these name ranges are used in the macros quite a bit. So if you don't change any of those, don't change the alignment of these name ranges, that will allow the macros to run well. So I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy these reports. I hope they're useful for you in making the hospital a safer and better place. Thank you.